Okay, so today we are working on chapter 5.3.
Are we taking notes?
Yes. Chapter 5.3. Okay, for chapter 5.3, we're going to be talking about angles of triangles. Okay, angles of triangles. Angles of triangles. So, first thing we need to talk about is something called an angle sum of a triangle. Okay, the angle sum of a triangle. First off, can anyone tell me what does the word sum mean? Sum means add. Okay, so what you need to know is inside angles, okay? Inside angles, the interior angles of a triangle. Okay, interior angles of a triangle. So if we label this as like X, Y, and Z. Just leave it, Chantal, you need to write these down. Okay, angle sum. If we add all of those together, X plus Y plus Z, first off, how many angles will be inside a triangle? No matter what it looks like. 3. Okay, it can be different kinds of triangles. There's different types of triangles, but there's always going to be 3 angles inside. No matter what that triangle looks like. Does anyone know what is it all going to add up to? 180. Okay, so it adds to 180 degrees. No matter what your triangle looks like. Okay, so if I gave you an example like this, for example number 1, okay, and I ask you, excuse me, to find the value of X.
I hate finding X.
Well, you're going to have to find X a lot, okay? Find the value of X. Okay, and I'm going to give you a big rectangle. We're going to give you, we're just going to make a kind of interesting looking shape here. Okay. If I ask you to find the value of X, okay, if this is a right angle down in the bottom, and let's see, this one is 55 degrees, and this is X. And I ask you to find the value of X. Find the value of X. Does the whole rectangle really matter? No. All you really need to be looking at is this triangle. Okay? All you really need to look at is this triangle. Okay, that's the only part that's really important here. We already know that all of those angles added up together equals what? 180. So if you set up an equation, X plus, what's a right angle always equal to? 90. Plus 55 equals what? 180. Then we can solve. Okay. X plus, what's 90 plus 55? What's 90 plus 55? 145 equals 180. Then how do I get X by itself? Subtract 145. Okay, so this is just super basic. X equals, what's 180 minus 145?
45.
It's not 45, 35. Okay, and remember we need to put a little degree mark. Okay, that's your answer. So, any triangle, all the angles together, all add up to be 180. Okay, how about if I told you for example number 2? Okay, number 2. If I tell you, let's see, sorry, I just lost my, the measures of the angles in triangle, measure of the angles in triangle DEF. are a ratio of 1 to 2 to 3. Okay, those are like little colons in between there. The measure of the angles in triangle DEF are a ratio of 1 to 2 to 3. What is the measure of each angle? What is the measure of each angle? So, you don't have to draw a picture here, but the easiest way to do this is to draw a picture. So we're just going to draw a triangle, okay? Doesn't really matter if it's perfect, but just draw a triangle. Actually, I'm sorry, we probably don't want to draw one that looks like it has a right angle. That's a bad idea, I'm sorry. So let's just draw a triangle like this, okay? So, if it's called DEF, what does that mean? What are these letters are that what? Each one is a letter. So D, E, F. Okay? Doesn't really matter where you put each letter, but we're just going to put them on there. David, we're taking notes. You need to take them. You too, Dustin. D, E, F. So then, if it says that the ratio is 1 to 2 to 3, what you do with that is we're going to put in some x's, okay? So one corner is going to get a 1x. Another corner gets a 2x. And the last corner gets a 3x. Then if I put in those numbers, or those measurements, what do you know that all of them added together will equal? 180. So we're going to add them all up. So 1x plus 2x plus 3x equals 180. Combine your like terms. So what's 1x plus 2x plus 3x? 6x equals 180. Then how can I solve for x? Divide both sides by 6. So what does each x equal? 30. So what does that tell me about these? So does that mean, so x equals 30. Does that answer the question? It's asking what is the measure of each angle? We're not going to divide it, but we're going to plug it back in. Okay, so that means your 1x would equal what? 30. What would be 2x? 2 times x is what? 60. And what's 3x?
Wow.
90.
Oh my gosh. Take notes. I am.
Okay, so 30, 60, and 90. So after you find your x, you have to make sure and plug things back in. Okay, so your answers would be 30 degrees, 60 degrees, and 90 degrees. Okay, 30, 60, and 90 degrees. They all together still add up to equal 180 degrees. Okay, questions on how I did that?
I'm really nervous.
I was like, what? Okay, questions on how we did that? Nope, pretty good? Okay, next thing we want to talk about is another formula that you are going to need to know, okay? These are the exterior angles. Exterior angles of a triangle. Okay, exterior angles of a triangle. Exterior angles. So, we're going to draw a triangle, but this time we are going to leave a little bit of parts on the outside. Okay, so draw a triangle just like that. You're going to see why in just a minute.
I do. Why is it funny? It's just a tracking.
Well, for me, things always have to be even. I know there's on the radio that can't be.
Draw your triangle. And I'll make you guys a poster for this. but you are going to have to memorize it on your own. Okay, now, for each one of these, we're going to label these. Okay, so up in the top left, I'm going to put a 1. Top right is a 2. Bottom is a 3. So I want you to put 1, 2, 3.
Does it matter where?
It does. And then a 4 on the outside next to the 1. 5 down here. And a 6. Not that bad.
Very bad.
I just did. You're not going to have to put the numbers. You're not going to ever have to put the numbers. They're already going to be on there. Okay? And don't worry about that part. Okay, so exterior angles of a triangle. Okay, listen. First off, would you say that inside of the triangle, is that interior or exterior?
Interior.
This is interior. Okay, so we're going to label it. Outside of the triangle is called the what? Exterior. Okay? What you need to know here is that each outside angle, listen, each exterior angle, it's because I'm videoing and I have to talk over people.
Yeah.
Each exterior angle is equal to the opposite 2 interior angles added up. So, angle 4, measure of angle 4 is equal to, not the one next to it, but it's equal to the 2 other ones added together. So the measure of angle 4 is equal to the measure of angle 2 plus measure of angle 3. Measure of angle 4 would be equal to the other 2 added up. It's a rule for triangles. Okay, it's a rule for triangles. Which other ones could you come up with? What would be the measure of angle 5? Angle 5 would be equal to which 2 added together? 1 and 2. It's never the one right next to it, but the other 2. So measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2. You are going to have to memorize this because these are not, and don't worry about these numbers necessarily, but just understand that an exterior angle, so an outside angle, is equal to not the one next to it, but the other 2 added together. And then finally, measure of angle 6 would be equal to which 2? 1 and 3. Measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 3. Hey, guys, come on. I think you mean written down, but okay. So, you have to memorize that, okay? Now, for number 3, I want you to write this example, please, okay? Find the value of x. Find the value of x in the triangle. Find the value of x in the triangle. If I give you a triangle that looks like this, and I'm going to label this triangle A, B, C, and D.
Oh my god, this crazy triangle.
Okay, so I'll give you guys a second to draw that triangle. Yes. Yep. This is the 32, an X, and a 112. Guys, please, you're going to overheat it. Okay, so tell me, how would I set this up? Because of exterior angles, you know that this outside one, 112, equals which 2? x plus 32. Now, how do I solve for that? Blaze, how do I solve for that? Anissa, how do I solve for that? Yes. You have no idea how to solve for x. How do I get x by itself? That's why I'm asking you. Subtract 32 degrees. If we subtract 32 degrees, what does that give you? The measure of x is what? $80 degrees. Now, what if I asked you for the measure of angle ACB? Measure of angle ACB. How could you find that? The measure of angle ACB. Which one is ACB? It's this one. Okay? The way we name angles is where it starts, the middle, and the end. So ACB could also be written as BCA. It's the same thing. It couldn't be CAB because CAB is X. How would you find this missing angle right there? It's not 112. 112 is on the outside. There's two different ways to do this, okay? We know that this one is equal to what now? 80 degrees. So this one is now 80 degrees. How could you find this one? You could add these together plus this one and it would equal what? 180. Does anyone see another way that I could find this angle? Why could you do 180 minus 112? Because 112 and this one are what? What are those called? They're supplementary because they're vertical angles. Okay, so all together, this is a vertical angle. So yes, measure of ACB plus 112 equals 180. If you subtracted 112 from both sides, we would get measure of ACB equals what? Do it. 68 degrees. Okay? You should be able to find any of those angles. Okay? You should be able to find any of those angles. We're going to do one more and then I'll let you guys have some work time. No. Minus 112, not 102. Okay. So, if I give you another triangle, okay, so we're going to draw another triangle. Okay, draw a triangle just like this. We're going to label it K at the top, L, and M.
I'm not gonna do that. That is K is 90. Can I find a regular triangle?
Okay, if I tell you that the measure of angle 5 is equal to 147 degrees, and I ask you to find the measure of angle 1. I give you that drawing. Tell you the measure of angle 5 is equal to 147. Find the measure of angle 1. Raise your hand when you have it, and then you can get started on your work. But until you have it, I want to see everybody by themselves. So everybody should be able to do this on their own. Not looking at your partner. On your own. Sorry, that should be a 4. My bad, sorry. I don't know why. That should be a 4. Doesn't really matter, but sorry. So first thing that I would do is instead of 5, I would cross this out and write 147. Put in what you do know. Put in what you do know. If this is 147, there's 2 different ways you could do this. What could I do? According to this exterior angles of a triangle, this is called a theorem. Okay? According to this rule, basically, 147 is equal to what? The sum of the 2 opposite ones, basically. So what's this opposite one? 90 plus this one, we're just going to say measure of angle 1. Can you solve that? How do you solve that? Subtract 90 from both sides. You subtract 90 from both sides, what do we get for the measure of angle 1? 57 degrees. That's your answer. Questions on how I did that? Measure of angle 1 would be 57 degrees. Now, what would be the measure of angle 2? How do you find the measure of angle 2? If we know that this one is 57,
You subtract.
subtract what?
147 by 180.
Why would you subtract 147 from 180?
Because like angle like that one and then the one with the square on it equals 147 and then you subtract it.
That doesn't make sense. 147 is equal to these 2 added together. But why can you just subtract 180? Ariana, I want you to say it like using the correct math. 'Cause I think you're kind of just making stuff up. Ariana, why can you just subtract 180? Right, so if this one's 57, this one's 90, all together they would equal 180. Or you could think of it as this is a straight line. A straight line is equal to what? 180. So 180 minus 147 would give you this one. So what's the measure of angle 2? 180 minus 147 equals the measure of angle 2. Okay, that's how we would write it in math. So 33 degrees equals the measure of angle 2. Okay, so given just one part, you should be able to find most of the other parts of a triangle. Okay, just based on the different things that we know. Okay, make sure that